Hello, witches, and welcome to Thursday Night Live at 8. I am your host, Aurora Moon, and I'm on two platforms tonight. I am on my Facebook and I am on my YouTube. And I'm not normally on my Facebook. It has been a long time since I've been here. I think I started off at Facebook and I ended up on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. You know what? I've been places. And tonight we're going places because guess what we're doing? We are exploring Ouija boards tonight, or divination boards just in general, okay? But we are talking about the Ouija board that everybody's always afraid to work with. So tonight I figured let's talk about some of the things that are true about Ouija boards and what are not true about Ouija boards. Because this has been a topic that I have been requested over and over again to do. By I don't know how long I've been asked to do this video. So I'm doing it tonight. Starting off the new year with the creepy areas, creepy stuff. Oh, I love it. I love it. Anyways, let's get started. If you are new to me, I am Aurora Moon, and I am a Grey Witch teacher and practitioner. Let's try that again. Teacher and practitioner of witchcraft. I am the owner of the Witches of Eastview, and I am here to teach, and I do it for free on my YouTube channel. Now I'm on my Facebook group tonight as well, because like I said, it's been a long time since I've been there, and I've been on TikTok, I've been on Instagram, and I figured, you know what? Let's get back to my roots where I started and get back to the group and start doing them here too. So for those of you who are here watching on Facebook, if you want the video afterwards, if you want something to reference afterwards, you can go back onto my YouTube channel and get the video there. You can watch it on replay. That's what I'm saying. So let's get started, shall we? You know what, this is, like I said, this is a topic that has been requested for me to do for, I'm gonna say for the past year at least. And it's not that I'm avoiding doing it. I have done one episode of being in the cemetery doing this. And I did have a few people come out and say, no, you can't do that. Yes, you can. And I'm going to tell you how you're going to do it and how you're going to do it properly. But there are little things that you have to know along the way. Okay. First of all, let's get going on the whole topic of divination boards, because it's not just about Ouija boards, it's about divination boards to begin with. Okay. So we got the basic divination board, which this is what you're going to see. A lot of the times you'll see it in spiritual shops, but they are an easy way of connecting without feeling intimidated or feeling like you can bring anything in. However, it works the same as a Ouija board. It works the same as tarot cards. It works the same as oracle cards. You're still connecting. Okay, and there's still always that possibility that you can bring something through. However, the chances of that happening are slim to none, but they're slim to none if you actually practice the right protection. Okay, first of all, these are not games. These are not things that you can buy in the store 8 years and up like the Ouija board, and you can. And that's the part that's a little scary for me, is because they're not toys, but they're sold as toys. And yeah, we're going to touch on that in just a little bit. But before we get actually right into it, let's talk about the history of the Ouija board. Now, as far as I know, it has come out back in the 1800s. Some say it was the 1840s, some say it was 1869, in between there. I have read that it's been New York that came out with it as a way for people to connect with the dead, and then they turned it into something more. Now, I have read different things, okay? bottom line, it is a way to connect. It is the same way to connect, like I said, with any type of board when you're working with spirit. But spirit can, here's the thing. I want to say that they're not dangerous, but they are. There's a borderline, guys. There is. And I say that because as long as you practice safely, you shouldn't have a problem. But if you disrespect your boards, if you disrespect your tools, then that's where you can have some issues. Otherwise, they're just a board with a beautiful picture on them. Okay? And I actually make my own, just so you guys know. I have them in the store here in Guelph. This is just a basic one that I do. But you can find them all on my my Aurora Moon Creations Facebook group page. I'm not here to sell it. I'm just here to tell you that I do have experience with boards. But like I said, it's an easy one to start off with. Okay? Boards are not intimidating because it's an energy that you're putting into. Now, for those of you who've never worked with a board, if you start off doing these exercises right from the get-go, you will not forget. And you will make it into a routine. And that's where you should never have a problem. I have not ever had a problem. I remember problems when I was a kid. But as an adult and actually learning how to use these boards properly and having respect for the tools that I'm using, I have yet to have a problem. It doesn't mean that it can't happen. If you taunt it, it will. It can happen. Okay? But there's always a borderline. Okay? And if you take the necessary precautions, like I said, you shouldn't have a problem. Okay? But let's get going. I don't want to ramble too much. I'm supposed to be on my page here. I'm trying to get to my page so I can... There we go. So I can see the chat. Hello, Sherry. Hello, Crystal. Hello, Tamara. Hello. I'm just seeing if I'm missing anybody. No, not yet. And then I see Glenn and I see Tony. Hello, Tony. How are you today? I love that you're here because I have not seen you face to face in forever. And thank you for being here, Joseph and Patrick and anybody else who is joining me tonight. Brenda, thank you so much. Always love seeing new faces. Okay, so let's get started. By the way, I have some meditation music going on in the background, and it's thunderstorms. And I forgot that I had it on, and it just went off again. And I'm like, oh, yes, that's there, isn't it? So what I'm going to do is, this is a routine that I get myself into. So I'm just going to teach you what I do. But I always light a few candles. You do not need to light crazy candles. If you are using them as a protection for an aid, keep them in safe containers. You know the drill. Practice fire safety. Whatever routine you already have, you can continue doing that, and you can add to this. I had my own little routine until I came across this, and it resonated so much that I adapted it into my practice. So now I do it all the time. And I have done this in a cemetery, guys, okay? I have done this with my coven plenty of times out in the open. And I'll tell you how to do that, okay? Because there is a step-by-step procedure that you should be doing. It's not something that you should be taking lightly. You're still working with spirit. You want to respect the property that you're on. You want to respect the tools that you're working with. You want to work with. You're respecting the energy that you're working with. And if you don't, that's where things can get dicey, okay? Believe me, I've had portals come in. I've had tons of that stuff come in. I have to clear myself in a daily, multiple times daily. Okay? But when you work with energy, you have to. Okay? There, and if you get into a routine doing it, you don't forget. It becomes automatic. And you feel good over and over again. There's never too much. Okay? Especially when you're working with the spiritual realms. Okay? So with the pendulum board, because it's a very, very easy, basic board, okay? And I say that, I don't want to say it, I say it lightly, but I do in the sense that I don't feel, most people don't feel intimidated with it. It's a gentle place to start. Kind of like starting off with oracles versus tarot. That's how I look at it. Okay? Now, if I am getting a new board, my Ouija board is actually a new board because I got it off of somebody for free on Marketplace. They were getting rid of it. I asked if it was haunted. They didn't answer me, so I'm like, well, okay. I have nothing happening with it, so don't worry. But I usually start with my smudge stick, and I'll smudge my board. Now, I have my routine that I wrap it like if it's like a ball of yarn. For me, it tells me that it's covered. Especially if it's a board, okay? Something like this, okay? But if it's brand new, I'm going to cleanse my board. If it's a crystal pendulum board, which we're going to start off with, I'm going to get to the Ouija board next, okay? We're going to start off with the pendulum board because it is a very simple way to practice without feeling weird, because it doesn't have the letters. It doesn't have yes and hello and goodbye. Okay, and a lot of people can get a little freaked out about that. So this is more of a gentler way. But I cleanse all my tools before I get started. Okay. I cleanse myself. Now I go in a counterclockwise direction to remove the energy. Okay. And I usually will put a pentagram around my space. Now, I've already been in this space today, and I have already done a lot of cleansing. I still don't take it lightly when I do stuff like this, okay? But with my board here, I might not go into a full-on protection. However, I'm going to say, once again, if you get into a routine of doing it, you don't forget. It becomes natural to do it. So we're going to do it. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to cleanse that. But I'm also going to cleanse my board, my Ouija board while I'm at it. I'm going to move a few things. I'll show you how to work both. Okay. Now the Ouija board is slightly different than the pendulum board, okay? They can still bring in the same type of energy. Just because one has letters and a yes and no and a goodbye doesn't necessarily mean that it does more or less damage than the pendulum board. It's just looked at a little bit differently, okay? And the pendulum board, it can bring in energy, but it's not going to be, how shall I say it? You'll feel energy, but I don't feel that you'll bring in anything of a negative. And that's just my experience for now. Okay? I have not had any negative experience. I've had negative experiences when I was a kid, but I have not had a negative experience working with my boards in any place that I've worked in a board. And that has been cemeteries. Okay? So, with the pendulum board, actually I'm going to turn this over. If you're on my Facebook page, you're not going to see my board. But if you're on my YouTube channel, you're going to see both directions. You're going to see face and then you're going to see top view. Okay? So my pendulum board here, Okay? Getting started with the pendulum board, you want to put your energy into what you're working with, your crystal. Okay? And before I get started, and I'm going to put the energy into both boards since I'm using both boards. I'm going to show you how to use both boards, okay? But I'm going to do this for all the boards. So if you're looking for the ritual, I will post it in the Facebook group so that you guys can have it on, have access to it, okay? But what I would do is I would get my pendulum and I would hold it in my hand and I would just hold it in an energy of light and love, okay? And I take a few deep breaths. Now, if you do not feel confident in working with your board, that's where your struggles can be, okay? But you need to also build confidence in using it too. And that's why I say start off with the pendulum board. You'll recognize where the energy is coming from. You'll recognize the energy. You'll begin to work with the energy, and then you'll understand it a little bit more with the Ouija board if you have never used one before, okay? So with the pendulum board here, with my energy into my crystal, I am still going to do my protection. Now I'm doing this protection for both boards at the same time because I'm doing my whole space, okay? So I usually will say, I call upon the four directions and the four elements to enter my circle as a consecrated place of love, healing, and spiritual guidance. May East and Air share their knowledge of all stabilizing influences. May East and Air, let me correct that. I'm getting way ahead of myself. And I just recognized. Okay, let's start over again. I'll feel better if I start over again. Hold on a second. Okay. I call upon the four directions and the four elements to enter my circle as a oh my goodness. I call upon the four directions and the four elements to open my circle as a consecrated place of love, healing, and spiritual guidance. May East and Air share their knowledge of all beginnings. May North and Earth share their knowledge of all stabilizing influences. May Fire and South share their knowledge of all changes, and may West and Water share their knowledge of all endings. Goddess, the Mother of all, protects me. God, the Father of all, defends me. I am always safe. I am never alone. I call upon my spirit guides. I call upon my angelic guardians and call upon all forces of good to enter my circle of white light and divine inspiration. May my higher self transmit to me the knowledge I am ready to receive and the wisdom to make the best use of it. There we go. Now that it's flowing out. Sometimes you do it, right? Sometimes it doesn't come out and you got to start over again. And I've done it multiple times. As you can see, I just stumbled through that a couple times. But you do it over again. Anyways, let's get going. Okay, so that's the common one that I use on it. That's the one I use all the time. Okay, I use it when I go to the cemetery. I use it when I do mediumship. I use it when I do any of my spell work. I use that spell all the time. And that incantation all the time. And what that is, or you want to call it incantation, but what you want. Oh my goodness, I am fumbling through my words tonight and I'm not sure why. I'm going to just take a moment to regroup. Okay. Sometimes you have to do a clearing in the middle of a live. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask our vision board. So I'm going to actually turn this upside down for a second, okay? A lot of people don't do this, but this is what I do, okay? But what I do is I find out what my yes and my no is first. So okay, show me yes. Okay, so it's straight back and forth. Show me no. Okay. So with my crystal right now, it's showing that back and forth is my yes, and going circle is my no. Let's see if it changes. Because I have my crystal a different way now, or my board a different way. And we're going to program it. Okay? So now, because I've got this board that it is directing me, that I need to direct it, in a sense, I've got to tell it where my no is, or now is, my no, my maybe, or my rephrase. This one's a little different. I see now, maybe. Oh, this is a little different than the one that I make. I'm just realizing that now. Okay, and I'm going to ask. So this one's more on the maybe. See, it went right into the spin. Now I'm going to bring out, I'm just realizing I don't like how that board is, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if I'm using a board, I like when it's going back one way, it's telling me one thing. That one has multiple things, and I'm not sure if that's meant to be like that. So I'm going to bring mine out. Okay, so if I'm going to program my board, for those of you that are on my YouTube channel, you're going to be able to see this. For those of you on Facebook, you'll be able to see this as a replay on my YouTube channel if you want to see the down view. Okay, so for this one, as you can see, I'm going to program it. This is my yes. Okay, I'm going to program that as my no. I'm going to program this as my maybe, and program this as my rephrase. Now it's funny because when you program your crystals to do what you want it to do, in a sense, you'll be amazed at what they actually do. Okay, so I've got my board here. I'm going to say, is my name, do I go by the name Aurora? So it's going by yes. Do I go by the name of Roger? For those of you at home, maybe, I don't think so. It might be taking a little while to rephrase itself. It says maybe. Now it's starting to shift. There we go. It just took some time. Now it is going a little bit into a circle, but now it's starting to get into a little bit of more of a straight back and forth. Still a little bit of a circle, so I might have to continue to work on rephrasing or working with my yes, it's telling me yes. So there you go, right live. It tells me yes, and I have to reprogram my crystal in order to work with this board. But what you can do with your boards is you can reprogram them, or you can program them to work with what you want it to work with. Okay, so as you can see, this one, I'll be honest, I'm going to show you. See how it says maybe, and then it says now, and then rephrase down here and wait. I would prefer if it had the same words going back and forth. See how it's yes here and no here? It should be the same this way and the same this way. Because you can't have, it's not going to just hang out over here versus hang out over here. It might be a little bit more difficult for that. Okay, so that's where I start saying to use it or program it. Okay, so now we're going on to the Ouija board, and this is what you guys came for. Okay, so we're getting into the Ouija board now. And the reason why I wanted to show you the pendulum board first was because it is still a divination board. It's a divination board that you are using to tune into your energy. And it works the exact same way as a Ouija board. The only difference is you have more options on a Ouija board. As you can see, the difference between your Ouija board and your pendulum board is that this actually can spell out your words. Not only that, the proper way to use it is to be on your lap. Okay, so it would be putting your board, and you guys aren't going to be able to see this from home, but you'll be putting your board right on your lap. Okay, so just think I have it on my lap. And then if somebody else is across from me, putting it on their lap. Now, it is not advised to use a Ouija board on its own. And the reason for that is because in the actual game of Ouija, it is considered a game. It is sold in the stores 8 years and up. And the reason why I have an issue with that is because it doesn't tell you how to use it as an actual spirit board. It is taught as a game. So if you're not careful with it, it could be so misused. Now, growing up as a teen back in the 80s, it feels so long ago, in the 80s and early 90s, I have to think about that. Late 80s, mid 80s, and mid 80s. Anyways, back in the 80s, back in the 90s when I was a kid, everybody had one of these. Everybody had one of these. And you could, everybody would turn off the light and you'd get in a room and you'd ask the question, is so-and-so here? And you'd wait and you'd think that somebody was moving the board. The reason why I don't recommend using it like that is because you're not aware of how you're using it. You're not aware of the questions you're asking. You're not aware of the energy that's being used in a board like this. And as a child, as somebody who was in her teens using these, I can now see the huge difference between using it improperly and using it properly. When I was a child, I remember, oh my God, how many teens out there got one of these boards and would ask the question, did you F the Virgin Mary, or did you do this, or did you do that? Oh my God, guys, these questions are horrendous. You don't ask questions like this, but we thought it was funny. We thought it was a game. However, those are what would trigger, because we didn't see it, we wouldn't see it coming. The board would go and do its thing and you wouldn't think, you would always think somebody was playing with the board. However, I've had more than a few experiences that would say, no, it was not a game. Because I had a few things freak me out to the point of I wouldn't touch it in forever. And anytime I would go over to somebody's house that would have one that was using it improperly, I would leave. And I did. But as a teacher, a spiritual teacher, and as somebody who has learned and grown with a board, I now recognize the advantages of using it and the disadvantages of using it. And well, the disadvantages only come as if you're using them improperly. If you're using them properly and recognize the energy that you're working and understand that if something comes in that doesn't feel right, you shut it down. Just like you would in a conversation on a subway or just as it would be an uncomfortable conversation out in public, whatever it was, you'd shut that conversation down. So you have to do the same thing with these boards. Now, starting off, I would always cleanse it. Like I said, this is a brand new board. I've already cleansed it. I'm going to do it again. Not my paranoia. Just for me, I like making sure that all my areas are covered. Did I miss a spot? I don't know. Let me put it through again. That way, in my head, I'm good. Do it as many times as you need to. Okay? We're going to get to the planchette. This is the other part of the board that you're going to actually need. Okay? I do the same thing with the board. Now, if I am not using this, okay? I put it off to the side. I actually keep them separate. It's my thing. I keep it separate because if I keep it separate, then there's no way that they can have a communication together. Okay? Now, I did bring out, before I actually get into some of what I do, I'm going to actually read out what the rules are for Ouija. Ouija, okay? If I even brought it out. And of course I didn't. Of course I didn't. So let's just check. I know one of the rules is not to use it alone. That is to your discretion. If you are a seasoned seer, tarot card reader, and you know your protection, you know that you're grounded, you know the energy enough that if something doesn't feel right to get out, there is no problem using a board on its own. A lot of people will tell you that, no, don't do that. I'm going to say it is totally safe, the same way as it would be a pendulum board. But there's got to be a level of respect. That's what it comes down to. Respect your tools like you would anything else that you're using. Okay? You don't toss this in the garbage. You don't treat it like crap. You use it and you treat it good, and it's going to give you the answers that you need. Okay? Doesn't mean that you won't be fooled. Okay? I'm not going to say that. There's so many possibilities of being fooled. So ask yourself multiple times if there's something that doesn't feel right, if something's dragging you and saying, no, this doesn't feel right. End the conversation, say, thank you very much, but I'm done. I'm done. Okay? Now, with the planchette, actually, I'm going to tell what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I do when I go to, for instance, a graveyard. And I do have a video on doing this at a cemetery. Okay? A lot of people will advise you not to do it. There's no problems with doing it. But what you have to do is you have to respect the grounds that you're on. And you have to, if you're going to communicate with somebody at the graveyard that you're going to, do you know that person? Because if you don't, then you need to build a relationship with who you're reading for. Okay? So before I even took my board to communicate on the cemetery, I made plans to go to the cemetery to talk to the gatekeeper, which is a spirit at the door of the cemetery, that you just say that you're here to build a relationship, you're here to pay your respects, you're here to whatever it is that you're here to do. And all they ask is that you respect their boundaries. That's all they ask. So if you go and you want to communicate with a gravesite, okay, to build that relationship for you to communicate or practice your mediumship, then you can do that. But if you're communicating with that or building a relationship with the person on those grounds, you can't just bring out your board and start playing or start doing this. You have to sit at the graveyard. You have to build a relationship with that grave or that person you plan on reading for, if that person has passed on, if it's a mediumship that you're doing, okay? And build that relationship with that person of the dead. I was trying to find my words there. To respect that person. Now, the very first time that I did this at a cemetery, it was myself and my coven, and it was just the three of us at the time, and or no, there was four of us. Sorry, four of us at the time. And when we went, the first thing we did was we asked permission. We got to know the gatekeeper. We went into the graveyard. We went around, and then we sat down in a particular spot where we felt that we wanted to connect. And when we sat down, we asked, is it okay that we're here? Is it okay that we do this? And they gave us permission until they said, I don't want you here anymore. And as soon as they said, I don't want you here anymore, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you talking with me. I hope we can do this again. Out of respect, I am going to pack up my stuff and go. And we did. The next time we go to do it, we're able to do the exact same thing and get a little bit further, because this time they've known that we've already been here. And now they're knowing that we're building that bit of a relationship. So we're not just going in and demanding communication. Because remember, these people have passed on. They were people here. And they're, even though time is an illusion and they don't understand time, and it's so different here from there, they still want that respect. And if you are only allowed to be there for 5 minutes, then only be there for 5 minutes. Because the next time they may let you be there for 10 minutes. And then it's 20. And then it builds up. But if ever there is a time that you push yourself and force that on an area or an energy that is not liking it, guess what? Just like nature, it's going to fight back. It doesn't like that. You've just disrespected the energy. So take that time to get to know what you're studying. Get to know the person that you're studying. Now, if this is already a person that has passed on and then you've already had a relationship with, that is going to be totally different. However, you are still going to need to have permission from the gatekeeper in that cemetery. You're not just going to barge down somebody's wall and say, oh, I'm here. I'm going to start doing this. No. You're still going to have respect for that gatekeeper until you build that relationship, until that you get to your position with your deceased loved one. It will be easier, it will be quicker, because you've already have an established relationship. But still take the time and effort into doing so. Now, when I go to the graveyard, I also bring candles. I do not bring real candles. I bring the battery operated ones. That is so that there is no possibility of fire. I also will bring, instead of salt for my circle, I will bring ground up eggshells, because then they act as a fertilizer for the earth. But they're a huge protection as well. And I do that so that I can aid in my extra protection. Because again, I am in an area that is not of the living. And I'm on their turf. It kind of sounds weird, right? But you're on their turf. And it's like taking over a forest. You know, like animals are going to kind of fight back to some degree. Some of them are going to leave you alone. Most of them are going to leave you alone. But some of them are going to fight back saying, hey, this is my area. screw you. And if that's the case, then you can understand why you're going to get the shit kicked out of you, right? So the same thing goes with the board. Now, build the relationship with your board. Be good with your board. Make sure you clean it. Make sure you cleanse it. Make sure that you touch it, not fondle it. Get your heads out of the gutter. Touch it in the sense that you're going to make sure that you put a connection on it. Okay? I had to throw that in. It wouldn't be me if I didn't. And then you have your planchette. Like I said, I don't have an issue with using this on my own. If you do not feel comfortable with using it on your own, use the pendulum board. That feels a little safer than use the pendulum board. Okay? They are different, yet the same in so many ways. Okay? There's still a way of connecting with the divine. You're still connecting with source in some way. Okay? It is just a different way. It is just a different form of energy that you're connecting with. So you just want to make sure that that is how it's properly cared for. Okay? Did anybody have any questions? I'm going to take a sip of my drink because I'm a little thirsty right now. Hey, Donna. I haven't seen you in a while, honey. Nice to see you, hon. That's the things for... Oh, with Crystal, are you talking about like getting cocky with it and being disrespectful to the board? Because that's where you get problems. Absolutely. There's absolutely. But using your planchette, rule of thumb, guys, okay? Learn about your board. It's the same as your divination board and the same as your tarot deck. It really, really is. Okay? Hey, Crystal, you got a question? Sure. Ask me a question. I don't know why I picked up my crystal. What question do you have? Oh, what does it mean when a planchette runs off the board? Oh, usually it can represent a question that it didn't like. If it's an energy that is forceful or you feel that it's forceful, then that would be a time to say goodbye. But usually a planchette running off the board like that, either you're in a position that it's easy for the planchette to run off the board like that, or it's a question that you've asked where it didn't like it and it's reacting. Oh my God, I'm remembering, and I'm remembering multiple occasions where I've had that happen, and each time it was a question that was inappropriate. I sit back and I now think about it and going, oh my God, kids were so stupid. Now I also have, wonder if I can reach it. I should have grabbed it. Where is it? Feel it. Oh, there it is. Okay. I also have a board that looks like this. Hold on. Let me move this for a moment. This one's more of a square one. Okay. For those of you at home, you'll be able to see it. That out of the way. Okay. And this one came with the planchette. And that's a circle one. Like that. For those of you at home. Woo! It's a nice little one. I like it. And I do the same thing. And it does. It recommends that you turn it upside down. And I do recommend that. But I recommend taking it off and putting it in a different spot. That's just where I'm at. That was my dog, by the way. For those of you who were wondering what that sound was. Yeah, what were you told, Crystal? I've only, that's the only experience I've ever had, is that it's always been an inappropriate question that's been asked. That's happened. Now, I've used this board. I have tried multiple times to use this board, and this one came with saying that you can use it on its own, no problem. Like I said, it's called a psychic board. Psychic board, pendulum board, vision board, or sorry, Ouija board. It's all the same type of thing, okay? I still don't recommend using the planchette and leaving it on. I still recommend taking it off. That's where the connection is between you and the planchette, is when you're putting it down, right? Okay. Now this one's a little bit different. For those of you at home, this is what I'm looking at, okay? It's a beautiful board. It folds into a little square, and I can put it aside nicely. I keep, like I said, I keep the planchettes in a drawer. I do. I sleep better at night that way. Oh, I just got cold. I've got somebody here. Don't be surprised if you see something in the background. It's happened before. I don't get freaked out anymore. Now, if you had a Ouija board, but you did not have a planchette to go with it, you could use your crystal as well. Okay? Now, and if you didn't have a pendulum board, but you just had your crystal, you could use it that way too. These are all ways of connecting with your divine guidance, okay? That divine guidance is you. Don't think for one moment that, well, I shouldn't say don't think for one moment, because you do have, how I look here, this is how I look at energy. The energy, whether or not it's an angel, whether or not it's a deity, whether or not it's a god or goddess, whether or not it's a god, whoever it is that you're connecting with, it's a part of your soul. It's a part of yourself that you're connecting with. It's a part of you. Okay? So as long as you understand that you are in control, you should not have any problems. It is when you allow fear to step in, it's when you allow that you don't have confidence, okay? Those are where those lower energies can attach themselves, okay? Now, I have been talking to my group the past little while about me getting psychically attacked, and I'm getting to the point that I'm actually knowing when it's happening, right when it happens, because it's been happening a lot lately. It's a long story, but I understand it. What's going on? I get what's going on. But sometimes, if you don't have anything else, guys, you can just use your crystal. It is not something that you need to bring out and make a whole display unless you want to. So heard it. Oh, wow, Tamara. Yeah, it is. Oh, wow, Tamara. I'm just reading some of your comments now. That is crazy. Yeah, I've seen some crazy things happening, and you know what? If you pick on a spirit like that, of course, what do you think it's gonna happen, right? People don't take these things seriously, and then they mock it, and then the energy comes at them, and then they wonder what the heck is going on. That is where you don't want to mess with. So make sure you put your protections. If you learn to do it every single day, then you don't forget. And it becomes a habit. And having that habit allows you, especially if you're an empath, oh my God, who here is an empath? Who here picks up energy crazy as soon as you walk into a room and you can feel it? That is what I'm talking about. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether or not it's coming through a board. It doesn't matter if it's coming through a crystal. It doesn't matter if it's coming through your card. If there's an energy there that's meant to attach, it's going to attach. So get into the habit of cutting your cords. Get into the habit of putting your protection around everything that you do. And when you do that on a regular basis, it helps keep your vibration high. You've been an empath since the beginning of time, Crystal. We're born empaths. It's not until later years that we discover it and understand what it is that we're going, because somebody says that we're, too sensitive or too this or too that. No, we're in tune. That's what it is. And when you're in tune with an energy and that you don't understand, then you think that you're the one that's too sensitive, where instead, take back your power. And you take back your power by doing these exercises every single morning, and do them in the shower, guys. They're so easy to do. All you do is first get into the habit of doing it before you go to bed and first thing when you get up in the morning. If you get into a habit of always clearing yourself, then you will start feeling better and better and better. And you'll feel that energy. But so many people think using a Ouija board is more dangerous than a pendulum board. No, it's not. It's the exact same type of thing. But so many people will put protection around their spell. So many people will put protection around certain things that they do. They don't think about doing it on the pendulum board, or they don't think about doing it on a Ouija board. I don't know why. It's so important. Yet they sell the Ouija board in the stores for eight years old and up. I don't get it. That's the part that I don't understand. Because they look at it as a game, and to me, I don't think it's a game. Yeah, a lot of us don't discover that we're empaths until we have repeated situations where we feel that we're attacked, or that we're the black sheep of the family, or somebody doesn't understand us, or we're just emotionally drained all the time. When you start realizing that that's what's going on, then you start cutting your cords to those attachments. You start feeling better. Exactly, Crystal. That's all it is. That's why I say, being in a cemetery, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get possessed any more in a cemetery as you would at home. You can get just as possessed at home as you can in a cemetery. If you don't have protection, it still can happen. Cemetery, however, you're surrounded by a little bit more. So that's why people will say, okay, it's not a smart move. But it's not a smart move if you're not experienced. If you're experienced and you respect it and you treat it as a tool and you're not using it to get a joke or a kick or a game, then and you're using it for communication purposes, there's a level of respect that's built there. And there's an understanding there. And that's the difference. That's the difference. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Okay, so what the Milton? Oh, the is that about the Barbie one, Tamara? There was a Barbie Ouija board that came out, and it says 3 years and old, or 3 years and up. And that was actually just a joke. I think it was Mattel or something like that, or it might have been Milton Bradley. But Ouija boards are the exact same thing as if you're using a divination board. But most people just don't have the confidence. And if you don't have the confidence, then it's fine. Use it with a friend. Find a friend that you trust to build that communication with. Respect your board. Respect your planchette. Build that relationship. Understand that it can trick you. Do not take verbatim what the communication is. There's still a level. Same thing with the tarot. Most people don't question the tarot, though, the same way, because it's intuition coming through a different way. This is more like mediumship. Necromancy, I think, is the other word for it, right? From making sure that I'm not using the the wrong term. I've done that before where I'm like, oh, nope, that's not the one I'm talking about. Don't want to get into that. Exactly. It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's a Teletubby Ouija board. It's still exactly. It still works the same thing. You know, I picked this up from somebody because it was free. And I thought, you know what? This would be perfect. I already have one. I already have a Ouija board, but I got this one for free. And I thought, maybe I'll change it. Maybe I'll paint it. Maybe I'll make it into something. That way I can make it into my own. And I put my energy into it. And I build a relationship that way. It doesn't have to be looked at in a negative way unless you treat it as such. Don't treat your tools. Remember, these are magical tools. They can be used to help us. But you have to know how to use energy, and you have to know the difference between what the energy feels like, right? And sometimes it takes error. Anybody tell me if we're in Mercury retrograde? Let me know if we're in Mercury retrograde, because my language, my words are not coming out. Didn't we get out of it just recently? Why? Sometimes that can happen. As I hear the thunder in the back. Oh, the original one. Yeah, you know what? I totally understand that, Crystal. You know what? I never used a pendulum board. I just used my crystals just like this. And I would just put it in my hand, and I would just... Actually, I remember getting taught using wedding rings. My mom taught me how to use with a wedding ring. Didn't even realize that that's what it was back in the day until I started using it like that, right? But you start off with just making sure that it's clear. We don't want it moving. Just to get the point across. Go to energy. And then you say, is there anybody here with us tonight? And see, my crystal is... No, my crystal is saying no right now. That's my symbol for no, is circles. Not in Mercury retrograde until March 15th. Oh, I can't use that as an excuse as to why I'm fumbling through my words tonight. I wish I could, right? I can't. I can't. Damn it. But you know, there's different things that you can use. You know, I'm using my crystal here, but I want to show you something, and I'm just seeing it right now. I have this beautiful, beautiful necklace that my girlfriend bought me. And I keep it down here because it glows in the dark too. if I turn off the lights, okay? So I got my moon here. For those of you at home on Facebook, can see it there. For those of you who are at home on YouTube. But I could use this as my pendulum. And by doing that, I would just put it in between my fingers, just like how I'm doing it here. And I would do the same thing. Show me yes. So right now my yes is still the same. It's going back and forth. Show me no. And it goes into a circle. Stop. Isn't it amazing how it answers to you? Did you watch that? Did you see how quickly it went from one to the next? Like, you've got to ask yourself, how does that happen? These things amaze me. They really, really do. They really get me, and I'm like, oh my God. Oh, I love when it glows. It glows in the dark. I love this necklace. Did anybody else have any questions? Your family is so boring. Tamara. Oh my God, Tamara, you make me laugh. Tamara, sorry, I know I say the Canadian version of Tamara. That's how we pronounce it here. But I think you pronounce it Tamara, right? Tamara? Did I say that correctly? Let me know. And hello, Facebook. Thank you so much for watching as well. I appreciate all you guys too. I know you'd think it was going to be more exciting, that things were going to start flying around the room, right? You don't think something wants you to reveal all this knowledge? What are you talking about? Am I missing something? Did I miss a conversation? Or are you talking about how I'm teaching you guys how to do this stuff for yourselves? Because that's the empowering thing to do, right? Instead of forcing you guys to like pay for this stuff. Why pay for this stuff? I could charge you if you want. If you want to leave a donation, you guys can leave a donation. But I never force anybody any of that stuff. Never. No, are you kidding me? This is all stuff that you guys can learn. This is all stuff that you learn by tuning yourself into your own tools of what you've got. And it comes down to confidence. It does. A lot of people get freaked out about doing this stuff, and I get it. I get it. I've been in those situations myself. I get it. But once you have confidence and you know what you're talking about, and you know what you're doing, and you've got this, nobody's going to take you down. See, guys, knowledge is power, guys. Knowledge is power, right? And when you know this stuff, and you're not intimidated, and you're not fearful of working with this energy, that's where they can't get you. It's when you're intimidated or when you're fearful of something. Learn to embrace that energy. Learn to embrace working with this energy. Remember, without light, there's no dark. And without dark, there's no light. Without one, you won't know the other. There has to be a balance of both. So do not be ignorant in thinking that there is nothing out there, because there is. But if you learn how to work with it properly and you understand it and you don't let the energy manipulate you, that's where you benefit. That's where you benefit. Okay? And that's where what I'm here for is to empower you guys, to have you do it yourself, to know that you've got this. And if you have questions, you can ask. But it comes down to using your intuition, trusting that what you are being guided to, and I get it, because can all be led down the wrong path. Absolutely. Sherry. Yes, your birthday's on Saturday. Oh my goodness. The big 6-0. And then mine's a week later. The big 5-1. I know. Yes, happy early birthday, Sherry. She's going to stay 59 as long as she can. I know. But did you guys have any more questions? I know it seems like this might sound basic, but it really does come down to common sense. Not being naive, not making sure you have your protection up, making sure you cut your cords, making sure that you cut anything that, or any attachments that you feel that might be surrounding you. Make sure you build up borders, boundaries. They can't get in unless you allow them in. Just like a fence. You can build a 6-foot fence. They can get in if they try. It's easier if you allow them to get in, if you open up the door. But they can't get in unless you invite them in. And if you are ignorant to what's going on, if you're not paying attention, hello, my baby, not paying attention, then that's where you can run into some problems. Hi, you're fine. That's where you can run into problems, is when you're not being respectful to the energy that you're working with, and you take it for granted. And you just assume that everything's fine. Check. Do muscle testing. If you don't know muscle testing, let me know, and I will do a class on muscle testing. It's very simple. It's very simple. But oh no, it doesn't matter which stone that you use. However, okay, just so you know, if you use metal ones, don't get broken. It's a lot easier to chip a crystal, okay, like a crystal one, okay. If you go with the clear quartz, you still need to cleanse them. Okay, if you go with crystals, you still need to cleanse them. The only ones you don't need to cleanse is the citrine ones. Citrine keeps itself clear. I haven't seen a kyanite one. Kyanite, you don't have to. I wear kyanite. That's something else I should have mentioned. I always wear extra protection around. If I'm doing any type of divination type work, when it comes to, especially if I'm using a Ouija board or a pendulum board type idea, I always make sure that I have my special crystals around me. Mine is kyanite that I love, black kyanite. Okay. Yes, we're finishing up here anyways, Tamara. There's not much more that I can say. But no, it doesn't matter what kind of crystal that you use. Go with the crystal that you are in tune with, what calls to your name. Okay? But there's going to be ones that you don't have to cleanse. So your citrine, you don't have to cleanse. If there's selenite out there, I don't know if there is. Usually you'll see rose quartz, clear quartz, amethyst, citrine, tiger's eye, black obsidian is usually the ones that you're going to see mostly of, and some metal ones. So just pick one that you really, really like, and just understand that you have to cleanse it. Just like any other tool that you use, okay? Always want to cleanse it, using it. Your boards, like I said, you'll want to always make sure that you cleanse your boards when you're using them. It's all extra protection. You're welcome, Sherry. Thank you so much for joining. Always love and appreciate you coming. I appreciate you guys all. Crystal, Tamara. Tamara, I know you need to get going. I saw Katie here earlier. I hope Katie was here. Delilah, I'm not sure if Delilah was here. She's usually here, but I'm not seeing her tonight. Um, Donna is here. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you all so much. I see Chrissy Lynn. I see Mary Ann on my Facebook. Patrick Anthony. Thank you guys so much. I also see Carol, Brenda, Joseph. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you all for joining me. And if you have any more questions, feel free to let me know. I can always make a video on it. You're always cleansing your... Let's do muscle relaxation. I totally agree, Tamara. But you know what, Crystal? If you get into the habit of doing it, it's awesome. It's best, right? So, but anyways, guys, if you have any questions, if I missed anything with what we were talking about tonight, please let me know. I don't usually like to write my things down. I like to go off the top of my head because that's just the way that I work. Ooh, a labradorite. Oh, and a moonstone and ruby. Oh, you're gonna have to show me. That sounds so pretty. Thank you so much, Crystal. I appreciate you guys so much. Tamara, all you guys, Katie, Sherry, anybody that I missed, I appreciate you guys all. Thank you so much. And I will see you. Oh, next Thursday, I have an event that I'm going to. So I won't be here next Thursday, even though I had it on the schedule. But I will be back for the monthly collective the following Thursday, and we'll go from there. Okay, I will be posting in the group, on the Facebook group, probably next week with the February schedule that's coming up. So I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for joining, and I appreciate you all so much. Thank you. Ciao for now.